Hello there, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another Darlings and Duds video. It has been since April, so 4 months since I've done one of these videos, and as I was looking at all of the products that I've tried over the last 4 months, I thought there is no way I can squeeze all of these into a video and have you all still stay with me. So what I decided to do is anything that I've tried and really talked about or reviewed in other videos, I will link those videos in the description box below. That includes the Sephora haul update video I did, I think back in June. Also, I used several products from Charlotte Tilbury in a Get Ready With Me video, and I reviewed those products in that video as I was using them. And then as we go along, if there are any other products that I use that I talked about kind of extensively in another video, I'll let you know what video to check out. If you're new here, be sure you hit that subscribe button. Now let's get started. Today I'm gonna jump right into eyeshadow palettes because, as many of you know, it's one of my all-time favorite things to purchase. And as I'm holding up these items, you're gonna see this crazy, awful looking bruise right here. My nurse friend thinks that I might have gotten stung and they hit a capillary. So it doesn't hurt, but it sure looks awful. So try to ignore that. All right, the first palette I'm gonna show you is by LA Girl, and it is the same size as the Pro Mastery palette, which you know I love. I was just really intrigued by these colors in here. I've been wanting to venture into a few more teals, and then I loved that this had some nice greens, but also was grounded with some neutrals and some warm shades. I do actually have some of that teal color on my lower lash line mixed with some other shadows, but I have found these shadows to be super creamy and they do perform very well. The mattes are also very smooth and buttery. Sometimes these lighter shades take a little bit of building in the crease, but once you build them up, they do stay put and last all day. So great quality, definitely a darling. And this palette is called Hey Hey Vacay. Next is a palette by Tarte Cosmetics, and one of my wonderful subscribers let me know that it was half off and that it was her favorite palette of the moment. And I have to say, I understand why. So this is the Young and Wild Cruelty Free. And I don't know if you're able to even see on camera, this is a very holographic cover here. It's so cool and it is very mesmerizing in person. And inside, the colors are even more beautiful. And these are what Tarte is calling extra large pan sizes. So there is a ton of product in each one of these pans. It has that wonderful sweet cookie vanilla scent. Oh man, golden Oreos right here in this palette. Again, the formula on these shadows is wonderful. The mattes are super creamy, easy to blend. I do feel like these might be even just a smidge more pigmented than some of their mattes in other palettes. I love that they included, again, with the teal, a few kind of teal blue shades, but then again, a really good broad range of shadows. So another big win. I've really enjoyed this color combination and the formula. Onto a all matte palette. This is the Transition palette by Dominique Cosmetics. And what's really unique about this palette, not only that it's all matte, but she created this to work for basically all of the powder aspects of your makeup routine. So not only is it meant to be used as an eyeshadow palette, but you can use these shadows as bronzer, contour. You can even use these shades for your eyebrows, blush shades. So it's meant to be kind of like a full face palette. The formulation of the Dominique Cosmetics eyeshadows that I've used in the past, I have really enjoyed, and I feel like this is top quality. Again, everything in here is matte, but everything is really pigmented, very soft, but I find them easy to blend, and I just think it's overall a great kind of neutral palette to have in your collection. So if you want to add a bunch of matte neutral shades that you can work with, and even, you know, a few little bright pops here and there. I think this is a good one. So definitely a darling, loving that. Now for the other shadows that I have on in my look today, I used these two palettes. I'm gonna start off with this one. This is from ColourPop. My best friend gave me this as part of my birthday gift. It is the Wild Nothing palette. And I mean, it is just a very fun palette. And again, just a little pop right there, but it's not a crazy green. It's really pretty. And there's just a hint of green. I feel like there's less green in this that shows up than the Natasha Denona Mini Retro palette. So that's another one of my favorites. But I love the color combination in here. And then there is this one shadow that looks different because it is. This is one of their Super Shock shadow formulations, which is kind of like a cream to powder. It's a really interesting formula, but I used this as a base for my lid colors today. And then I popped this one on top and then just touched a little tiny bit of this over it. And that is what gave me that bright kind of a lid shade today. And then I have a little bit of these two shades and this through my crease. And then this was my darker outer corner. Now the other palette that I used just a couple shades from today is the e.l.f. the New Classics palette. And this is one of those palettes that's actually been out for quite some time. And I would hear people rave about it and I would go, nah, that's so not me. I finally purchased it when Ulta had it like half off one time for some odd reason. And I snatched it up and I remember sending a message to my best friend saying, I love this palette. I am so impressed. And I feel like e.l.f. does eyeshadows very well, but I feel like each palette, each little quad, the quality and the feel of the shadows can be different from shade to shade. This one, I feel like everything in here, all of the mattes are really nice and soft and buttery. And the shimmer shades, so what I did is I added a little bit of this one in my inner corner. The shimmer shades are really nice and smooth. I think this one has, it's more of one of those mattes with glitter in it. I never understand those shadows. And then Gilded, actually Gilded is really nice and smooth as well, but this is the only one I think that just has some more flaky glitter in it, but the rest are smooth, buttery. I felt like this is a palette that even though it has a lot of neutrals, there's still kind of just that little bit. These are all have a tinge of green to them. I feel like there's enough there that makes it interesting. I did mix a little bit of this with that teal shade on my lower lash line, and you can see there, it just has a hint of green in it. So really been impressed with this one. So another darling. Now, does anybody look at these and think of another brand of eyeshadow? I know I do. They really remind me of the Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes, the mini palettes that she's done. And I feel like these are, they're not quite up to that quality. So anybody who's like, oh yes, they're a dead-on dupe, you don't need to spend the money on Natasha Denona, I would say there is a quality difference. But having said that, I feel like these are actually really good. So this first one is called Soft Rose Look 020. There are 3 matte shades and 2 shimmers in this palette. And I've really enjoyed this. This is a little bit cool for me, so I feel like this is gonna work a little bit better come winter time, but I've really enjoyed these shades. They are super buttery. The mattes do take a little bit of building in the crease, and these shimmer shades, they do have a good amount of payoff just dry used with your finger, but they also go on great with a wet brush. So I have been really impressed, and these are around $5 or $6. The other one that I picked up really reminds me of the Natasha Denona Mini Nude palette. This one is called Golden Nude Look 010. And again, 3 mattes, and I love this because it has my matte cream brow bone highlight shade, and then it has 2 shimmer shades right here. And so I feel like this is a really good, easy, neutral look. So again, another darling. Sticking with drugstore, I picked up this one just kind of on a whim from Essence, and it's called Hollow Berlin. And it has a really good kind of mix of neutrals. You can see a lot of greens in these eyeshadow palettes. I think I was being drawn to a lot of greens this year in particular. I feel personally like green is a little bit easier for me to get away with than blue. But all of that aside, this palette has 3 shimmer shades, and these are pretty soft and like a gentle shimmer is kind of how I'd like to put it. You can get a little more intensity with a wet brush. I mean, these look really intense on your finger. These wear well. I found them to blend well. You've got even a dark matte black and a matte cream shade. So I just feel like this color compilation in particular was really well thought out. You can really easily get a full eye look. So again, another darling for me. Just 2 more eyeshadow palettes, and this first one's more of like a quad. So, you know, some people call this a palette, but this is from ColourPop. First of all, I love this new packaging that they have done on many of their quads, this clear look. I think it just looks a little more chic, and I love this color compilation. I think it's beautiful and soft. The only issue I have with this palette is, like ColourPop does in many of their palettes, is they put in ingredients that are not intended for use around the eye area. Now, many of you have said, hey, it's okay, certain colors, you know, the United States is behind the times, whatever. But this actually isn't a color issue. It is this one right here, which has shimmer. And that always scares me because you should only use glitter that is meant to be used in the eye area. So there is something in the formulation of this shadow that you're not supposed to use around your eye area. But the other 3 shades are really great. So, I feel like because this isn't super expensive, it still can be worth the purchase. You could use this beautiful shade on the tops of your cheeks as a highlighter, so it's not a complete waste. So I'll still give it my darling stamp, but just be cautious when you're buying these quads or any eyeshadow palettes in general, but especially from ColourPop. Just check the ingredient list and make sure you know what you're getting into. And this last palette, I cannot even tell you, I had such mixed emotions about this palette before I bought it. When I first saw it was coming out, I was so excited and I thought, oh my word, I can't wait for it. And then it came out and I read a bunch of reviews, I watched a couple of videos and I thought, oh, I'm not gonna like that palette at all. I'm not getting it. And then I saw it in person and I thought, I need to get that. This is the Too Faced Teddy Bear palette. Okay, so when I was reading the reviews, I did hear a few people talk about the quality. Several people didn't think it lived up to the Too Faced quality of eyeshadows. I disagree. I feel like the quality of these shadows is absolutely great. They did throw in 4 different formulas than they've done in any of their palettes. These 2 shades right here, they look like they're marbled, and Huda Beauty is the first one that I ever saw do this. And it kind of, you mix all of those shades together and you get a very high shine metallic finish. I think they're beautiful. And then these 2, the texture also is different. It's slightly thicker. And these are meant to be more like toppers. So they do still have pigment to them, but they do go well on top of shadows. So as far as the formulation though, and the mattes, I feel like are buttery and pigmented, blend well. So I don't get the quality issue people have talked about. But the main reason why people gave this such bad reviews is because of the size. And they were saying, oh my word, those pans are tiny, and they are. There's no names of shadows. This palette itself is a lot smaller than their typical palette, okay? So you might be thinking, well, yeah, Sharalee, who wants to get less product for about the same amount of money? Well, guess what? I know I've trained many of you to do this. So look on the back, and when you look on the back and compare the weight of the shadows, what are we gonna find out? We're gonna find out that these little pan sizes are only 0.5 grams less than these pans. So even though the size is smaller, they're still filled with almost exactly the amount of shadow in here. Plus, these bigger pans actually have 2 grams each. And you're only getting 14 shadows in here versus 18, but the total weight of this one is 14.6 grams, and the total weight of this one is 17.1 grams. So this one's slightly less expensive. I mean, it's close, so I understand, but don't be deceived by the size of the palette. Always, always look at the grams. So once I did my own research and I tried this palette out, I thought, I actually love this palette, so this one gets a darling stamp for me. The only thing I wish that they would have done is switched out the color of one of these shimmer shades, because I feel like those four, I feel like these two are so similar and those two are similar enough on the eyes. So I would have loved to have a bright, like real light champagne shade instead of one of those. So that's my only caveat with this palette. Otherwise, I love it. And did I mention it smells, well, it's supposed to smell like graham crackers. I don't get that, but it doesn't smell bad, but there is definitely a scent. Now, before we move into the rest of the items in the eyes category, I just want to make a quick mention of these products. Now, I'm not going to go through all these because these are all products that I've gotten on BoxyCharm through their Boxy pop-up sale. So this is just going to be my little plug. If you are not a BoxyCharm subscriber, I would highly recommend checking it out. It's a monthly subscription. No, this video is not sponsored. But my favorite thing that has come out of that subscription over this last year is not only are you getting 5 to 6 full-size items every month for $25 plus sales tax, but you're now getting access to shop their Boxy pop-up sale. And I just can't even begin to tell you. These are Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes, and she's done a couple of these that are just exclusively for BoxyCharm, $9. I mean, these retail, I think, for $48, $46, $48. I've gotten, I mean, Milk makeup, you know, cream blush, the KVD Dazzle sticks. That was one of our box items. Laura Mercier caviar sticks for $6. Yes, let's take more of those. MAC eyeshadows, this eyeshadow palette from Ciate. So I will leave my link down below. Feel free to use that or not, or go directly to BoxyCharm, but watch for their monthly Boxy pop-up sales, and I guarantee you're gonna be hooked. All right, so moving into now eye pencils and cream eyeshadow sticks. So I mentioned these in a drugstore Get Ready With Me. These are from Milani, and I have 2 shades. They don't have the shade names on the pencils, so I'll list them down below, but I have an olive shade, and then I think this one's Smoldering. These are really good, really nice and smooth. The formulation, it lasts really well on the eyes. I love using these as a base for shadow. There's the 2 colors, so highly, highly recommend these. I also picked up one of the new shades of the Laura Mercier Caviar Stick, and I always struggle paying $29, but I figured these probably wouldn't be appearing in Boxy pop-up sales anytime soon. So I picked up the shade Bed of Roses, and there's, I think, 5 or 6 of these shades that are varying shades of pink or peach with shimmer. And this is a really pretty shade. It lasts well, but I don't know. It's not a dud, but it is really expensive. So If you're just in love with one of the shades in that collection, go for it. But if you're like me and you tend to just top cream eyeshadow sticks with a powder eyeshadow anyway, I would say save your money, do an Ulta one or an e.l.f. pencil instead. So that's my take on those. All right, and then 3 eyeliner pencils and 1 liquid liner. The 2 eyeliner pencils are from Pixi. I featured one of these in a recent makeup tutorial. This is Very Berry. I love it. One of you asked me what its equivalent would be in Urban Decay, and I would say it's very similar to Alkaline from Urban Decay, but really creamy formula. And then this shade right here is called Rose Glow. It is such an interesting shade. It's what I have in my waterline. When you put it in and the light catches it, you'll see like gold, but then you'll see a little bit of like dark brown kind of come through. You don't see it in the swatch. It's really interesting, but I love these pencils. I do usually set them with a powder shadow, but they don't budge for me. So love those. And then I also picked up a Makeup Geek eyeliner. I have not tried any of hers before, and this is the shade Plumeria. And you're gonna see it's very similar to that shade from Pixi, but this one has just a hint, I mean slightest hint of a deeper purple, like more of a burgundy shade, but very similar to Very Berry, but the price point is very similar as well. So really good, great staying power. And then the final one is this liquid liner from Benefit. I have never understood that name because there's not a roller ball, but it has a felt tip. It's quite long, but the color of it is actually really good. I am wearing this on my upper lashes, and I feel like this rivals the KVD Tattoo liquid liner in Mad Max Brown. So another great darling. Now I do have a few duds. And if you saw my get ready with me using this pencil, you already know what I'm gonna say. This is the Tarte Cosmetics Instant Eye Brightener in the shade Muna. So I bought this after seeing the ad on Facebook, and I know several of you told me you've seen the same ad. And this gal just puts this all over her eyelid, rubs it in with her finger, goes in a little bit more, and done. And it looks stunning. I tried that. I'll reference that video down below. But it just is so sheer, and I thought maybe it's just because I have a little more color to my skin right now, but one of you who is super fair said it appeared very sheer on you as well. So I was really disappointed with this because it is a nice formulation in the fact that I feel like it stays put, but it's definitely, I mean, like blended out, you can hardly even see it on the eyes. So this sadly makes the dud pile. I do love a lot of Tarte Cosmetics products, but that's not one of them. And then 2 mascara products. All right, here's my caveat. These are not terrible, and I actually used them for my lashes today, but I'm not going to repurchase them. So therefore, I'm gonna say they're kind of duds for that reason. So the first one is the Morphe, the Big One Lash Primer. It's not a bad primer. This is the one that is blue, so it goes on blue. I think maybe it enhances the depth of the black mascara just slightly. That's what it's supposed to do. But I really don't feel like I've got kind of some lashes missing in here, so I don't feel like this has the lash conditioning benefits that I'm used to from Origins or from Lancome. And I don't feel like this adds any extra length or volume to my lashes. It does, however, make your mascara kind of grip onto your lashes a little better. So when I'm taking my mascara off at night, I actually have to work harder to get it off when I use this as a primer. But not one that I will be repurchasing, and that goes along with my mascara. I've shown this in a couple of tutorials. This is the Lorac Holy Lash Mascara. Again, I used it today. I like the look that I can eventually achieve, but it's work to get there. I do love that it does not smudge at all on me. but I do get some flaking through the day. It's not supposed to. But here's my biggest thing. I mean, this brush is so large that, I mean, I was laughing at myself trying to do my lower lashes today. I did it, and I always, I mean, there is so much product right here. I always have to completely scrape it off there, apply it, go back in, do the same thing. It's not a wet formula, so it's not as messy as you would think with such a big brush, but I just wish they would have designed the brush a little bit differently because I feel like the formulation is actually pretty good. All right, and the last kind of eye product is actually a tool, and it's the Shishaido lash curlers. Now I'm gonna give this caveat. These do work well if you have flatter eyes. I do not have flatter eyes, so even though these do give my outer lashes like quite a bit of lift, the way that I have to angle it, it leaves out these inner corner ones. So then if I go and use it on the inner corner, it kind of flattens these guys out. So just because it does not fit the shape of my eye, these don't work for me. However, if you have flatter eyes and you struggle getting lift and curl in your lashes, these do it. Now they are a pretty tight curl experience, so just be aware of that. But so for me personally, a dud, but if you've got the right shape of eyes, I can see how these would be good for you.